What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon. And once again, we're here on 910 Sports TV. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity because without him, there'll be no us. Secondly, I want to introduce my right hand man, you know what I'm saying? One of the greatest coaches you can have and mentors you can have out there, Coach Lamont T. Goins.
Hey, appreciate that, Icon, man. Listen, I'm not going to apply for any of these jobs that's open right now, man, because that old landscape it's a little bit different. So I'm going to keep coaching from my recliner. So it's always a pleasure to be back on 910 Sports TV, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very very special guest tonight, man. You know, I'm excited. Akani to have on Mr. Anthony Duruji. Correct me on my I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Duruji.
Deruji, right?
Yeah.
And so here's the thing, Iconi. This is the first time I've actually laid eyes on Anthony. Now, he and I have been corresponding through a very good friend of ours from back in Southern Pines. I'm going to give a shout out to none other Mr. Bruce Reeves. Everybody knows him as
Mm.
6'5". So that's how Anthony and I ran across. We've been working on some projects together. But just here's a little bit about Mr. Anthony's background. He is a graduate of University of Florida, where he majored in business, Bachelor of Science and Educational Sciences. He's also currently a staff member for the YMCA in the Triangle Raleigh area, and that is a membership engagement director. He's a former NBA player with the Charlotte Hornets. How about that? That T. You know what? I love your picture, brother. When you got that on there, man. I mean, it's all about that rack. And again, like I said, he's a graduate of University of Florida, and that's Gainesville. So we like to welcome you to 910 Sports
I,
TV.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So we know what we already got that grease. We got the grease hot, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right on in that thing. So, as a former college athlete, I'm gonna start. Let's start right there. What is your? I don't want to say mindset. What is your feelings about the whole world of college basketball and the NIL?
Yeah, honestly, man, it's a totally different landscape now from when I was playing. I just had missed the NIL and name, image, and likeness. Honestly, I think it's good for the players. I think it allows players to, profit off of themselves and their name. But on the other hand, I think it's pretty tough and challenging because looking at NCAA now, it seems like semi-pro, so to speak. And it's not as much loyalty, I would say, more of a business. But I think it's good on both ends. We'll see where it goes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, I mean, like you said, you missed it by this much, and Iconi,
Mhm.
we missed it by that much, right? So, and somebody said name, image, and likeness back in the day, man. I was just because I'm good friends with Ralph Sampson. I asked Ralph, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "if it was NIL back in the day," he said, "Dude, I'd probably be making 400 million." All right, but that's a different show. So here's my next question. So now, how was it playing at the elite level and playing in such a fine institution? That how did you fit in that mold, and when did you knew that when did you know that you could play at such a high level?
I think I knew around 10th grade. That's when I knew I could really take, basketball somewhere and I could play for money. I remember going through high school practices and things of that nature when I was in 10th grade. And my coach used to always get on me. He said, you don't have no work ethic. You got to take it up a notch. And he used to take me home every day and we just practice. And that sat with me. And I think I started becoming a different player. And then 10th grade going into 11th grade, started to get a little bit of buzz with my name coming from the DMV area. It's a lot of great talent in that pod, but I seen myself and I knew that, if I put my head down, I can do whatever I want to do. And basketball was that. So I always had that goal and knew that I could play at the next level.
All right, man, that sounds like a winner. So listen, I'm gonna kick it over to my cohort on the side now. This guy was laying by us last night. I don't know what he's rocking, but he was definitely a Maryland Terrapin. So I kind of you had the floor.
All right, brother. So let me ask you this question: what did you learn from just being going through like the training camps and the tryouts and the things that on with the Charlotte Hornets on that professional
Mhm.
level? What's some of the things that you learned?
Some of the things I learned is that honestly, being a professional athlete and playing at the highest level, there's little margin for error.
Mm,
You have to be on top of your game and you just got to be a really good player, but you also have to be professional. I think a lot of people don't really understand that it's a business, and how you carry yourself, how you walk, how you talk, how you deal with adversity, how you deal with sitting on the bench. You always have to be ready. I think that's something that taught me, is that you want to be prepared, because opportunity only comes, it's limited sometimes, and when preparation meets opportunity, great things can happen.
So just to give us a timeline, when you first went through the training camp and everything with the Charlotte Hornets,
hmm
who was the I guess you're gonna say the top players on the team?
Yeah, obviously, like Lamelo Ball, you had Terry Rozier at the time. Gordon Hayward was another good guy, a veteran. Um, yeah, a lot of great people. Yeah, on the team.
Okay, did you develop any friendships or relationships with any of the guys while you was there?
A little bit with Mason Plumlee. He was a cool guy, and he was really cool. He used to drive me around from time to time, going to the airport and stuff like that. Kind of latched on a little bit more to the veterans, but it was a really young team, I would say, Charlotte Hornets.
Okay, I'm gonna forgive you because that's a Duke player, so I'm gonna forgive you. We Tar Heels over here, you know what I'm saying? Even though we going through it right now, we still
hmm
Tar Heels to the death. But
I feel that. I feel that.
so, but anyway, so when you got overseas, what
Mhm.
was the coach? They always say culture shock. What was the first culture shock when you got overseas?
I think how small everything was.
Mm.
You know, I was thankful that I had a washer and dryer, but that was kind of a luxury, I would say. Some people said going to Europe, but just how everything is small. The food portions are smaller, homes are smaller, air conditioned. Not a lot of homes might have it as well too. I was thankful I had that AC and heating, but I would just say just how small things are. It's a little bit different.
Okay, so we got a question from Coach Randy Page. He like our fourth member that kind of supports us, and he said, "How did the things you learned at the Athletes in Action Leadership Academy prepare you for some of the adverse situations you faced since?"
Mm. Yeah, that's a good one. I think the biggest thing that I learned is that in order to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower. That's
Mm.
something that I learned first. And I follow the one, which is Christ. And that definitely led me throughout my journey with basketball in general, because I've dealt with a lot of hardships, dealt with a lot of uncertainty. Just being professional, regardless, is a lot of uncertainty in that pursuit of trying to be the best, and being in that landscape, in that environment. So that's the biggest thing I learned. In order to be a leader, you must be able to follow first. That's following my coaches, maybe following my mentors, following people who've gone before me, and listening and being able to apply that, so that I can grow.
Okay, so we all know to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower,
hmm
and you've become a mentor to a lot of youth and
hmm
built up basically a program in your own kind of way of doing things.
hmm
So was that something that you kind of had a passion for? When you developed that? When did you kind of develop the passion to really want to work with the youth?
I would say when I was in college, a little bit more. I was actually a part of the Gator Goodwill, but that was the student athlete engagement program, where we went out into the community of Gainesville. We actually partnered with PK Young, that was funded by University of Florida, and also Eastside High School in Gainesville. So being over there, being able to talk to the students, it reminded me of myself when I was younger, because I had great mentors in my life. And if it wasn't really for them, I probably wouldn't be in the places that I am today and experience the things that I've experienced. So being able to pay that forward, help the youth, it helped me, because we can do a lot of great things, but if you're not really impacting people, then what is it really for? So
Mm.
yeah.
So we know is me and Coach Goins here. We probably a little bit older than you or
Mhm.
whatever. So we kind of like what they
Glory.
call they call what they call us OGs.
hmm
So basically, we know from the kids back in the day, like if you're a coach or whatever back in the day, whatever the case, coach says goes. In
hmm
this day and time, is it harder to kind of break through with the youth and really get them to follow what you're trying to teach them?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say yes, it can be hard, but I think it's really having that relationship and being able to be relatable. I was just talking to a parent not too long ago, and she was telling me about her son, and she was a coach herself as well too. But she said, sometimes it's hard. I think I might tell my son something, and he doesn't really take it from me, but somebody else can be saying the same thing, and he probably takes it. So sometimes I think it's where you're coming from. Obviously, with me, I've been a player. I've been the mentee. I'm the mentor now. So I think just having that relationship and that relatability, sometimes you're able to have that voice in the youth air, so to speak.
Okay, so before I kick it back to Coach Goins, please subscribe to our page at 910 Sports on YouTube. It is also powered by InspireRadio.com and 810 Studios Radio on the Roku channel. And I'm gonna say this before I kick it over to Coach Goins. Tell that mother it has nothing to do with her. That's just how kids are today.
Mm-hmm.
Me and some of my other friends, we talk about this all the time. When it comes to, you could tell, we talk to my son and my daughter, and they'll be like, "Oh, dad," or whatever. But if somebody tell them the same exact thing, my son will come back and be like, "Dad, you've been telling me that, or you said the same exact thing." So it's something about parents when they say it, it going one end out the other. But if somebody like you came and said the same thing I told my son, he'd be like, "Well, Coach Anthony said blah blah blah," and Dad, you did say that. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know I said it because I was there when I said it." But go ahead, but go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Coach.
But you know what? That's so true, man. That is so true. And being on both sides as a parent and as a coach, that's so true. You come in and I know a lot of times I would always say, you know what? I know your parents has already told you this, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
be running the console. Coach Goins said, okay, your mom and daddy told you the exact same thing. So here you go. I want to talk about some stuff on in between them lines, man. So when you
Mm-hmm.
stepped out there, AD, what was your go-to move that you knew when you went up there and somebody threw you the rock and you was getting ready to put the move on? What was that? Tell us your
Mm-hmm.
go-to.
Yeah, my go-to really, I'll probably catch it. I got a really simple game, honestly, but between the legs, a hesitation because I have I'm big, I'm 6'7", but I was wiry and I was always the best athlete on the court, or one of the best athletes on the court. So if I hit someone between the legs, kind of rock them a little bit, and a hesitation, and then I'm gone. And that's either a dunk, or I'm getting to the lane, getting fouled, or finding the person who's open.
Wow, wow. I can see me now, man. He be out there and I would go for that fake like that and I'd step. The next thing I look I look on my I look on my shoulder and they come flying through the air. So hey,
Mhm.
our good friend, Mr. Bruce Reeves. I don't know how much you talked about. I don't know how much Bruce told you about what he
Mhm.
could do back in the day. But I tell you, he was 6'5", and that was that, and of course he's a legend from my hometown, Southern Pines,
Mhm.
Aberdeen, and his nickname was his height, right?
Mhm.
And we called him 6'5". And if you really knew him well, you would call him six. But a lot of people don't realize that he led the nation in scoring when he was at Ranger Junior College in Texas. So
Gee.
Bruce, yeah, he was when Bruce called me and gave me your name and gave me your contact information. I said, you know what, we're gonna ride hard with AD. So I'm gonna make this public service announcement real quick on behalf of the brother that we got on. So listen, anybody that's listening, this young man is dynamic. Like I said, been working on a project prior to the show. He is all about that, right? He is serving who he needs to serve. He is a leader, not only outside his home, also in his home. So we just wish him nothing but success. Here's my second question. If you had to be on a team right now, you're one of them, who would, and this is at the NBA level, who would be the other starting four?
Mm. That's a good question. Okay. Other starting four. Mm. So I'll have to have LeBron on the team. Gotta have Bron. And then mm, I'll probably say Jalen Brown. I like Jalen Brown. I'll have Joker. And then Shea. Yeah.
Mm.
hmm Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like Shay.
All right. So here's the thing. I've heard this so much for guys that's been in the league, and they always talk about them rookies overpacking. You going
Hmm.
on the road, and you going. You may be playing in Boston tonight, and then you may be having a let's say Boston, Philadelphia, Cleveland, and back to Charlotte.
Hmm.
Is it true? Is it true that you really don't need to take that many clothes when you're on the road when you're playing like on the East Coast?
Nah, you don't have to really take that many clothes, honestly. Um, yeah, you don't have to take that much clothes, but a lot of people bring a lot of things with them. It just really depends on the person, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, because I know guys would say, "Man, I wear a sweatsuit because people that saw me in Chicago didn't see me in Boston last night." So, so they
yeah,
say the rookies would come out and they have all these suitcases and they look and they go, "Man, where you going with all these suitcases?"
right,
All right,
right.
so here we go. So when you at Gainesville.
Hmm.
And again, I mean, you down there in the sun and the fun, and when it came basketball time, and you went in there and was in the laboratory. Take us back to what you would classify your greatest game during your college career.
My greatest game was probably my last year at the University of Florida versus Mississippi State. I think we were dealing with a lot of injuries during that time. I believe I had 22 points, but the game was dynamic. I was really doing everything that really embodies the person that I am, but also the player that I was, from shooting threes and ones to dunks, rebounds, like on both ends. I think that was definitely a really dynamic game and a memorable game, I should say. I had other good ones as well too throughout my time at Florida, but that one stood out for sure.
Absolutely. So before I kick it back over to Icon, now you topped out at 6'7". So
Hmm.
when did you hit your growth spurt? Was it high school, or what were you coming out of high school, and did you continue to grow after high school?
Yeah, coming out of high school, I was five. And I was about before going into high school, I was 5'8", and
Wow.
then I wasn't as tall, but then going into, I would say, 10th grade, that's when I really started to grow. So I shot up one summer from around 5'10" to 6'3", about, and then I kept growing. By senior year, I was 6'5". Going into college, I was around 6'5", and then I actually grew my sophomore year going to junior year in college. And yeah, so I kept growing little by little.
Wow, man! I tell
Hmm.
you what, you know what I kind of man. Once I was, if I would have hit 6'7", I might have been able to do something myself.
Well, the
So
thing about it is, I was 5'4" going in 11th grade, going into the 11th grade, and over that summer of 11 to 12, I grew probably about 5 inches. So I went from
really,
5'4", 5'5" to 5'10". Yep, I was the smallest. I was the second shortest person in my class up and from kindergarten all the way through like middle school. And high school different because you change classes and whatever the
right?
case may be. But all the way through like elementary through middle school was me and this white boy named Paul Jackson, and he was probably my height, maybe an inch shorter than me. But we was the two smallest like kids in our class. But he was real athletic. He played baseball. Like he was, he. I don't know how he didn't go pro because he was something different than baseball. But anyway, I would go back to say to y'all, I'm a little bougie because this is what I don't understand. So when you said when you go out of town, you gotta take a lot of clothes. You know why I would take a lot of clothes? Because I'm going out of town. If I got some free time, I'm going shopping for one. Because one thing you ain't gonna never see me in, if I'm making $20 million a year or more, I ain't never gonna have on the same thing twice. So the thing about it is, that's why I don't understand. Like when I'm watching like Stephen A. and all them on TV, and we know, everybody know that Stephen A. make about 20 million plus a year. It baffles me how he wears like some of the same suits. You would never see me in the same suit ever again. I'm wearing that one suit and I'm giving it away or doing something with it, but you'll never see me in the same suit twice. I'll be done with I don't care if it's one of these. I go to D and K and K&G. I don't care. I don't got to be no real expensive store. I'll be done bought 20 suits every time I went. They'll love to see me. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna be real with you. You know what I'm saying? But well, anyway, let me ask you this. I'm about to put you on the hot seat, Anthony, on this one. So we know over the last several years, right?
Mm-hmm.
the last few Olympics, that the international guys starting to catch up. They creeping. You was
Mm-hmm.
over there playing. What are
Mm-hmm.
you seeing that's putting fear God that you may say on this 28 Olympic team they might get us?
Yeah, I think it's the fundamentals. It's the
Mm-hmm.
fundamentals. Kobe talked about this, I believe. Um, long live Bean, but he talked about this. I think it's the fundamentals, especially in Europe. You're seeing a lot of the players in the NBA, the college now as well too, coming from Europe. But I think it's the fundamentals, and really, we had two practices when I was in France, basically every day, which that wasn't normal to me. It was different. That was something I had to really get used to. We practiced like it's the actual game, and the only time we don't do two-a-days was before our game. Let's say we play on Friday, we'll go late on Thursday, but we still, having a little bit of intensity. So I would say the fundamentals, just the practice, but also too the mindset. Like every possession means more. It means a lot, as opposed to here in America, it's more highlights, you know, more reels, things of that nature. But people are not really developing. So I think that's one thing that I see.
Okay, so give me three names overseas that in the next, let's say, maybe year to 2 years, that you wouldn't be surprised if they in the NBA.
Mm, to be honest, I can't speak to that because
Okay.
I don't watch European basketball as much. I just played, but I still watch like some Euro League and some people, but I don't know as much young prospects. But I just know there's some hoopers um, overseas though.
Okay, so who was the guy over there when you was playing against that was kind of like what you could call like the LeBron or the Kobe or the Jordan or whatever you want to call the Shea? Who was that guy over there at the time when you was over there playing?
Mm. So when I was over there playing, I didn't play against him, but he was a person who he came up in the same division that I was in, and he's doing really good right now. But his name is Chima Monake,
I think I
and
heard that name.
yeah,
Yeah.
plays Euro League. I forgot for what team, but he's about 6'5", athletic, can kind of do it all. He played a little bit in the league as well too for Sacramento Kings.
Okay. Yeah.
He's making a
Was
killing.
he in the Olympics? Because it sounded like that name sound familiar. Did he play on one of the Olympic teams?
He played on Team Nigeria, I believe.
Okay, yeah. The name sound familiar.
Yeah, you
Yeah, because
remember? Go ahead.
I want to say he got off on a couple of games. I want to say he got off against the Americans, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was Nigeria had beat Team USA some years back. It wasn't an actual Olympic game. It was in the Olympics, but one of the trials. So they had beat
Mhm.
them. But Nigeria got a lot of good players. And most of them play in the league as well too. So you know, yeah, a lot of people.
Okay, so before I kick it back over to Coach, let me ask you this thing: what when it comes to the youth, getting back to the youth,
Hmm.
what is that? You don't have to name the kid or whatever, but what's that one kid that came in that you was mentoring and you would go home every night dang near with a migraine because you just felt like you wasn't gonna get through to him and he ended up kind of like turning it around a little bit. Can you talk about that on that scenario and if that's ever happened to you?
To be honest, I was kind of that kid at one point. I was. I remember, I remember one of my teachers. She saw me when I was a little older, and I wasn't a bad kid, but I just would talk a lot. I love meeting people, just talking, having relationships. But I should have probably been doing my work, but I was too busy talking. But I think to speak on that with a kid, I never really had that. I would say, to be honest, I haven't had that type of relationship or a kid that was just, not listening or bad. But I can speak on myself and just knowing that the mentors that was in my life and helped me, they really saw what I can do. Sometimes even when I didn't really see the things that I can do on myself. So I think that's important. And it really takes a village, honestly, to pour into the youth, to pour into someone who's special. We all know that person. And it's crazy. I think I know one guy right now. His name is Ben and Bang, but he plays on the Utah Jazz right now. I remember him when he was in the community center when I used to go play in hoop, and he ended up going to Yale. He was actually the three-time defensive player for Ivy League, and now he's
Wow.
playing for Utah Jazz. You should look him up. But it's crazy. You just see people when you're younger and you never know, and then they go on to do great things. So yeah.
Okay, well, good. You didn't have to have trouble take nobody on the roof like Joe Clark. Tell him to jump. Go ahead, jump.
Nah,
go,
not yet,
go
not yet,
ahead, coach.
not yet.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
All
coach.
right. All right, so AD, here we go, man. So I know when you were at Charlotte, you were rocking this jersey number. Now is that jersey number, and I'll let the cat out of the bag here shortly. Is that something that you always wore? And the number was 14. Is that something that it was? How did 14 come about?
Nah, honestly, they gave it to me. I'm rookie. I'm trying to earn a spot. That's something that they gave to me. My number actually is number 15.
Okay.
That's what I love wearing, but that's because I was a big Vince Carter fan growing up. Vince Sanity, and that was basically someone I admired, someone I wanted to be like. Tar Heels, but so that's how it was.
As when you brought that up, I know Eddie or Icon. I know he perked up when you mentioned that. That's definitely an invitation to come back on the show when you mention when you mention Vinsanity. So
Oh
I want to
yeah.
kind of piggyback off where Icon was going with that. The challenges that the youth face today. A lot of times they don't have that positive role model in their life, and they may be in a single parent home or come in and sometimes they feel like the world is just against them. Same thing, some of the teachers are telling them that, oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to look at going to school. How has the impact of you being number one, you walk in, you're 6'7".
Hmm.
The average, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, the average, African American kid that may see you walk in the room, they're probably gonna think, well, he ain't a golfer. And
Hmm.
then when they find that you played on the elite levels and you've been in the league, how has that helped you in your day-to-day operation?
Honestly, it's given me a lot more opportunities that a lot of people might not have. It's given me opportunities to spark conversation. It's given me opportunities to help people incline their ear. When you're big, people assume leadership, and also just being tall is influence. So I think that's given me an edge that a lot of normal people just day to day might not necessarily have. So people are more inclined to listen to what I have to say. But I think it's a gift as well too. Being tall, having my image that I have, that's a gift, and that's something that I use to help.
How about that? How about that? All right, so here before I kick it back over to Iconi, I'm not, he's a Carolina guy, but we ain't gonna talk about the Lynn Bite. Now you know what? He did get a pass. He just didn't have on any Maryland jersey. He did have on Lynn Bias, so we'll let him rock that on. So here's the take. So if you were out there in the college landscape of the day,
Mm.
would you go hard in the portal? Or would you try to say, I'm not gonna go and spend, and again, I'm just gonna put a budget on it. If you had a $20 million budget, would you put it all in your players, or would you try to kind of balance it out? Being that you're the player that you are, you played in the league, how would your landscape of your team look?
Yeah, I would say that I would try to balance it. Definitely having a great team comes with great operations and good staff. I think that's something that I see right now, especially in my job, that you're only as great as your team, and leadership is important because it reflects the people who are on the ground, so to speak. But then also too, just being able to have great talent as well. You need great talent to win, and that's really important, honestly. So I would say I would try to spread it out. Definitely wouldn't try to just put all my eggs in one basket, and still try to develop a culture and some type of relationship especially nowadays when loyalty is like nothing. So that's what I would definitely do.
Wow, that's impactful right there, and it is right. It's all about the relationships, because the money is the money's the money. People roll in and say, "Well, I don't understand why that kid left." Well, they got what they offering him 1.5 million, and you were paying them 500,000. So that I get that. So listen, I'm getting ready to kick it back over to Iconi, but before I do, I got to ask Iconi this: what is your man doing? And I'm getting ready to talk about what is he doing hanging out at the racetrack instead of helping your boys in Chapel Hill come up with a little bit of cash so we can go ahead and secure that head coaching job and work on that NIL deal. So I'm not gonna call no names. I'll let you run with that one.
Oh, you talking about Michael Jordan? Oh,
Oh,
okay, yeah,
okay,
that guy,
okay, all
that
right.
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He need to make a phone call. That's what he need to be doing. Need to make a phone call. Go ahead and write that check. Him and the Nike guy. Go
I'm
ahead and
ready.
write them checks
Come
and go
on,
ahead and get the
dude.
coach we need to get.
Come
That's
on.
what he need to do. Y'all,
Come
I'm gonna
on.
put it out there. I ain't gonna
Okay. All right.
sugarcoat it. Hey, but but AD, let me ask you a question. Where were you at last year when y'all cut down the nets?
Man, what was I last year? I think I was in France. Yeah, I was in France
Oh,
last.
okay.
I was watching Florida. Man, shout out to Florida. I know that was a tough loss versus Iowa. Yeah, it was devastating. It's hard, but I'm always watching from afar. But last year's team, that was a joy to see. And shout out to Coach Golden as well too. Just for
Okay. So
opportunity.
be honest with you. So was it to be honest? Is it because they kind of came out of nowhere last year? So
Mm-hmm.
was it kind of surprising or shocking to you that they won it all?
Yeah, it was surprising. It definitely was surprising. I think I saw them and they progressed throughout the season, and the trajectory kept going up and up and up. Honestly, I thought Houston was probably going to win
Mm-hmm.
that last year.
Yeah.
That's a really great team. But Walter Clayton and Will Richard, there's some good players, and yeah, they seasoned. So really, Walter Clayton kind of took that
Hmm.
team.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of like a Devin Booker. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? A lot of his game pad was a lot like his when he was, whatever. But the thing about what Houston is, every year Houston they play great defense, but they lack that one just go-to player that they can just give the ball to and get a bucket. They
That's
they
true.
let that get a bucket guy. You know what I mean, or whatever. So that's what I see. So when you was on the team, besides yourself being a star, who was on the team with you when you was there?
Man, I played with Trey Man. Trey Man was
Oh,
Trey.
okay,
Oh
He said, "Oh,
okay.
yeah,
So
Trey
you
Man.
seen it the way you
Yeah.
said it. So you seen it when you was there that he was gonna be that he was up.
Oh yeah, for sure. From day one, Trey Man can go. Play with Scotty Lewis, great player as well too. Keontae Johnson, like phenomenal player. Noah Locke, he playing out right now, and I believe he's playing in France. I
Okay.
believe. I haven't played. I wasn't playing at this time. I sat out. But Andrew Nemhard for the Pacers. You know,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
Barry Blackshear playing in Japan, I believe. So many great talent and great people and names that
Okay.
a lot of people
Yeah. Oh, you played with some dogs.
know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
for
yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. So when you was in there, how far? What's the furthest y'all got in the tournament when you was there?
second round. Yeah, honestly,
Second round.
when I was there, we got upset by Oral Roberts,
Okay.
which was crazy. But I think they ended up going to the Elite Eight.
oh yeah, that.
I think, yeah, I
Ooh,
remember that
yeah."
year. I remember that year. So let me ask you this question then. So what's that experience? We could watch from home all day long and get
Mm-hmm.
excited about the tournament. I ain't gonna lie, the NCAA tournament is probably out of everything that happens through year, the Super Bowl, the NBA playoffs, all that kind of stuff. March Madness is my favorite time of year. I just love the underdog. I love the storylines. So what's that different and shift when it comes to just the feeling, the pace, everything that goes into the intensity? What's it like to go from the regular season into that tournament?
Yeah, it's surreal, honestly. Like, cause you grow up that one shining moment. Like I remember
Mm.
coming up when I was real young, just seeing the Florida Gators, Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, and them going back to back. So being able to put on that jersey and just seeing the legacy, the placards on the wall when we were practice, that's what you really play for. The March Madness, everybody wants to be in it, and I think the blood's flowing. You know, you expect crazy things to happen. You know, crazy things happen in March, and I think it's just so surreal, and it's an opportunity that a lot of people don't even get. So it was definitely surreal, and honestly, I was just so grateful just to be there.
Okay, so let's go back for a second then, since you brought that up. When you were getting recruited, so how many teams were recruiting you when you was first getting recruited?
So I wasn't a big time recruit. You know, before Florida, I went to Louisiana Tech for 2 years. I did well over there, and then I went into the transfer portal. But I got recruited by, good programs like Dayton, VCU, Butler, Virginia Tech, St. Joe's. You know, some
Okay.
good.
And you from where?
I went to Louisiana Tech for two
No, I'm saying
years.
you from where?
Oh, I'm from Germantown, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland.
German. Okay, so Germantown, Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been there a few times. I've been there through there a few times. Believe it or not. Matter of fact, I just left through Maryland. I'm in with Tennessee area now, or Virginia, between Virginia and Virginia right now.
Okay.
So, what made you say, okay, I'm a up north boy. I'm gonna go
Uh,
all the way down south. I mean, other than the sun and the other stuff to come with it. You know what I'm saying? What made you say I'm picking Florida?
Yeah, so at the time, I had knew a coach real well. He actually coached me for Team Takeover out of DC. But his name is Tony Skinn. He's the coach for George Mason now. Shout out to him
Mm.
as well too, doing really good over there at George Mason. He was a player as well too. Went to the Final Four, but he actually recruited me to come over there, and I felt as though I was gonna come and play right away. I wanted to play, and that's kind of what led me over there. So it developed me,
Okay.
became a good player, and went in the transfer portal.
Okay, I got one more question before I kick it back to Coach. You got Louisiana. We live with Louisiana Tech. What city is that?
Ruston, Louisiana, it's country.
Ruston. What's that near? That's near.
That's, that's
What's that near? Shreveport.
yeah, that's near Shreveport and Monroe.
So you got Shreveport. You went down over there to Gainesville. Up north, boy.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Now we talked about the overseas culture shock. What was
Yeah,
that up north to down south culture, especially Louisiana? That had to be a culture shock.
yeah, that was a culture shock, man. I went there, no family, not close to anybody, but dirt roads is something I didn't never really seen before. you know, yeah, it's like selling crawfish in the gas station, like different. It was different, but it was good though. I really like Louisiana. Probably the best food that I ever had in the states. Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
They make food out of anything, but it's good. But it's good. It's good though. So that was
Yeah.
definitely a big culture shock, big one for sure.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Coach.
Man, I tell you what, when he said, because that's one of my favorite spots to go is New Orleans.
Hmm.
And I tell you, hitting and I'm not a Bourbon Street guy, but of course you gotta go down there to the French Quarter, you gotta eat that. But you right, man, they'll come out there and they'll lay some catfish on you, buddy, and get you one of them beignets, boy. And it's just like, boy, you be like, and somebody go, what's that? People say, man, what's New Orleans? I said, it's worth just going down and eat one weekend and get in the car and drive or fly and come on back. So hey, here you go. Here's how I want to wrap this, wrap my last question up. So you have done a lot of things in your young career that a lot of young people can only dream about, right?
Hmm.
You played major college basketball, you've been in the league, you've been overseas. The game has allowed you to travel the world. So what would you tell that aspiring young person just to what at what moment did I'm gonna use the cliche, when did it click? When did you know you was just like, man, I'm doing something that only a few people in the world has ever done. So what's the advice to that young kid coming up behind you?
I would say for one, chase your dreams, but know that it comes with a lot of uncertainty. I
Mm.
think a lot of people need to hear that it comes with a lot of uncertainty, but you have to have faith. You have to have faith. You have to trust in God first. If you work hard, truly, it don't mean that everything's gonna come to fruition. but you're gonna give yourself a better shot. So you gotta be able to work hard. You gotta have discipline. You gotta sacrifice something because something worth having, you have to miss out on something. And there's
Mm.
some distractions now, especially as a young kid growing up with social media. You got all this comparison and things of that nature. But you really have to sacrifice if you're truly willing to do something that not a lot of people even get the opportunity of doing. You have to be extraordinary. There's little margin for error. But then also to just have fun. You know, I was in Malta. I was in the country of Malta last year, and Switzerland. You know, and I would never thought that I'd be in some of these countries, and I was going for leisure. You know, but that came from, you know, the fruits of my labor and really just working out them sleepless nights, getting up, running hills when I was 10 years old. You know, wall sits, tow races, things of that nature. Have fun with it. You know, the game can take you so many places, but always use the sport. Use basketball, whatever sport you playing, use it. Don't let it use you. You know, and sports translates to life. You want discipline, teamwork, leadership, you know, perseverance. That's all things that the game teaches you. And it's a platform to help you in life as you transition. So have fun, be strong, and be hardworking. You gotta have discipline, and then, you know, chase your dream.
Wow. Wow. Well, listen, I'm getting ready to kick it back over to Icon, but before I do, I just want to thank you for your time and your effort, and we'll stay in touch as we continue to work through some of the other projects that we got going on. So, Icon, I'll kick it to you, brother.
Well, I was going to just say this. I see why Zion Williams is a little fluffy and be going up and down because because I'm gonna say this. I'm a diabetic, so I ain't really ate a donut in years. You know what I mean? If I eat a donut, I may pass out. Y'all gonna have to carry me up out this room. But I ain't gonna lie. Them beignets, the first time I went on a cruise a few years back, and that was my first time eating the beignets. So I got the real beignets, not the ones you see in these other malls. And I remember being downtown and I'm seeing the line, and the line was like a line, like a crack house line back in the 80s in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, what in the world is over there getting? And then they were like, they're getting beignets. And I'm
Mm,
telling you, coach and AD, boy, hey, you would have had the dog, you had to drag me from over there. Cause
I
after I ate about two or three of them things, boy, hey, I was hooked. Boy, I don't know what in them beignets, but I'm
hey,
thinking they got some crack in them beignets. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
telling you,
Absolute.
I gained 25 pounds after my freshman year to sophomore year. I gained 25 pounds out. Yeah. Went from 185 to 15.
Mm.
Yeah, because them beignets is like chips. You can't just eat one. You can't just eat one. I'm telling you now. Hey, but anyway, I appreciate you coming on, giving us your time. I know we've been super excited about this interview for a minute now, and trying to prepare the best we could for it. So I definitely appreciate, and I just appreciate the fact what you're doing for those youth. Because one thing we
Absolutely.
always need is we need men like yourself, positive role models, especially what we see on social media every day. And a lot of these guys are just OGs like ourselves. They're not showing themselves approved when it comes to these youth. So we
Mm-hmm.
definitely need you to continue to be a light and to be a voice for the youth to help guide them and push them in the right direction. So we can have that next star, whatever. It ain't got to be on the court, whether it's in the boardroom and on the medical table, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you coming on. And if anything you want to promote or whatever before we get out of here, just let us go ahead and say your piece.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. And to those who are watching and just promoting, you can catch me at Ant Duruji. That's ANTDURUJI underscore. That's my Instagram. My LinkedIn is Anthony Duruji as well too. And I am also starting to train as well. I'm in the Raleigh Durham area, so I'm starting that to train and just looking to help a lot of youth. So you can connect with me on Instagram if you want to. Just reach out to me.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. God bless you. You know what I'm saying? And keep doing what you're doing, brother. Y'all have a
Yes,
good
sir.
and blessed
Thank
night.
All right.
you. Appreciate
Take
y'all.
care, guys. Appreciate it.